My name is Andy, and this is the most magical podcast on earth. When I'm not on holiday at Walt Disney World, I'm planning a holiday to Disney. And when I'm not planning a holiday to Disney, I'm talking about Disney with other UK fans like me who make the trip to Orlando and the House of the Mouse. So whether you're a parks professional or a Florida first-timer, this is the podcast for you. Each episode, I'll be chatting to other Disney superfans to share memories of their magical times, answering your Walt Disney World questions, getting you all the latest news from the parks, and finding out what's happening right now in Orlando. So get your ears on as we take you to the most magical place on earth. This is the most magical podcast on earth. As part of the Secret Recordings Network, back with a brand new episode. We'll be chatting to Malcolm in just a moment, whose voice you may recognise. All will become clear. We'll have an update of news from the parks, and if you're going to be going over the next few weeks, a few things you need to know, weather-wise, crowd-wise, we'll update you as we always do. So make sure you are subscribed to the podcast. Hit that subscribe button. Make sure you're following us on the socials. @PodMagical is where we are. And if you do have any questions, send me a message. Chris, looking forward to going at the end of the school holidays, and we've managed to book in one of the first not-so-scary Halloween parties. We'd like to go and fancy dress. How hot is it after dark in August? Will we still be able to dress up? You still will be able to dress up. It's allowed at the Halloween parties, if that's what you mean. How hot is it? Well, you don't want to be going in a really big, thick costume because even at night, it's really hot and humid. It's August. It's still really hot and humid at night. So you don't want a big costume on. So, I don't know, maybe think of going a costume that can still combine shorts and a T-shirt. That's probably the best way to describe it. Put a cape on. Paint your face. If you want to go as the little boy from Coco, you could do that, but you'd wear shorts and T-shirt and kind of adapt it a little bit. But yes, I think even towards Halloween, I've been a few years ago before the pandemic, we went to the actual Halloween party on Halloween, and it was still really hot, really hot. So yes, dress up. Do dress up, do get involved, do have fun, but I wouldn't wear anything that's too sweaty. If you wouldn't wear it during the day, still wouldn't wear it in the evening. That's the best way to describe it. Any questions? @PodMagical is where we are. To chat Disney with our guest for this episode. Please welcome Malcolm. Welcome to the episode, Malcolm.
That's very kind. Hello.
Can I just say something now? People go, Malcolm, I recognise that name, I recognise that voice. You are the Malcolm. If people used to listen to Paul O'Grady on the radio. You are Malcolm.
I am one and the same, yes. He's long-suffering producer, God rest his soul, yes.
And obviously thinking about Disney and thinking about Paul O'Grady, the first thing that springs to my mind is It's a Small World, because Paul famously hated that song.
Well, what happened was he was at Euro Disney, as it then was, and like often happens with, Disney rides, it broke down. And unfortunately, it broke down with him on it and Amanda Meagling, who's, the star from Casualty, and her children. And for about, depending on which version you got from Paul, 15 minutes to 3 hours, It's a Small World singing along, and it drove him bonkers. So I used it every time we had an email from a listener who was abroad or who mentioned that they'd been abroad and that the results were fabulous. And funnily enough, just a few seconds ago, somebody sent me on Instagram a photograph saying they had just arrived at Disney and they were going on It's a Small World and what would Paul think? So I just love it. I think it's fabulous.
Oh, to be stuck on It's a Small World with Paul O'Grady. Wouldn't that be great? But your Disney journey goes even further back. It goes before that. We're talking 35 years since you first went to Walt Disney World.
1989, it was my first trip abroad. And we went to Florida with Virgin Atlantic, as you do, and stayed at a terrible motel called the Orlando Vacation Resort, which is no longer there, and it shouldn't have been there when I was there.
Demolished.
In fact, it was it was awful. And just happened to be there at the right time to be at the opening of Disney MGM Studios, as was. And it was incredible. I mean, I remember distinctly seeing Betty White from the Golden Girls. She was there. Bette Midler was there because obviously Bette had made a film for Disney about how films were made, and it was an attraction. You could go and see how they made this film with Bette Midler, and then they deconstructed it. And in those days, that theme park was all about movie making and TV show making. Today, it's a completely different thing. But that was my first experience of going to Walt Disney World, and it was remarkable. And I would say it changed my life, but that one just sound too dramatic, because as a result of that, I mean, I had a lifelong fascination with the theme parks and the company that made them. And because of that, I ended up making a radio series for BBC World Service about Walt Disney's company. So it sort of all merges into one.
What is it then about the parks that you love? What made you fall in love with it so much then?
It's because they're theme parks and they're not amusement parks.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you get to the transportation and ticket centre, or Senna, as they say over there, and you walk down and you see the ferry boat, and you get the ferry boat across the Seven Seas Lagoon, and you arrive at the Magic Kingdom, you are literally miles away from where you parked your car, and you're miles away from everyday life. And it's an immersive experience. And these companies, Universal as well, SeaWorld and so on, they make these amazing places. And of course, it all started with, as Walt used to say, a mouse, but I really much more interested in the man himself and the dreams that he had, and especially in Florida, because he had the ambition to do something so much more than just an amusement park, and so much more than just a theme park. And that obviously was Epcot and the City of Tomorrow. So it's a fascinating subject.
So how many times have you been back since in 35 years?
Dear.
Would you even hazard a guess?
We're probably saying 50 times. But I mean, part of that is because I'm a member of the Disney Vacation Club, so I can, you know, afford to stay on property. Otherwise, it's a terribly expensive holiday, in my opinion. But I haven't been, cards on table, since COVID, and a lot has happened. I mean, I followed it significant, you know, with all the changes under the leadership and so on, and now Bob Iger is back. So I followed it quite a lot, and I've seen some of the changes that have been made. Some I approve of, and a lot I do not. But my memories of everything to do with the theme parks stop at 2019.
So you're not tempted to go back soon? Because if you've got DVC, you know, you've got all those resorts on your doorstep there.
Yeah. So I use the DVC, and we stay at Vero Beach, which is a town about 2 hours south of Orlando. It's on the coast. Disney have a hotel there, and they have vacation homes there as well. And it's the most Disney thing without it being too Disney, if that makes sense. So there are no rides and attractions, but it's the same impeccable Disney service, attention to detail. It's a wonderful, relaxing holiday. What we normally do is we go to Vero Beach, and then we drive up to Orlando for the day, and we'll go to one of the water parks, so Blizzard Beach or Typhoon Lagoon. We also have, in more recent years, decided to fall in love with Universal. Sorry. I know. Yeah. And I'm very excited about Epic Universe. I think that's going to be a real game changer, not just for Universal, but for Disney as well, because Disney will have to up their game considerably, I think.
Disney, I feel like they've been kind of like sitting back and letting Universal do their thing. It's like, we're Disney, we're not bothered. It's no big threat, but, you know, they need to keep their eye on the ball.
Yeah, I mean, that was always part of the trouble. They were always overconfident. In fact, when Universal first arrived in Orlando, Disney did a really cheeky advert in the local papers saying, "Oh, we welcome our new neighbour," thinking it was going to be a flop. And of course, it turned out to be a huge success. Of course, in recent years, there has been the management change at Disney, and I think that slowed down investment. And then they had the row with the governor of Florida. That didn't help matters either. So I think they're beginning to wake up. I hope they do. There's talk of a fifth gate, which would be really phenomenal if they do that. But a lot of the parks need a bit of love. You know, Epcot has been a building site for 5 years, and it needs a bit more attention. Animal Kingdom is the same. I love Animal Kingdom, but where is the beastly kingdom that was promised? It never arrived.
Well, you were at Animal Kingdom the day it opened, not only at MGM Studios the day that opened, but also the first day that Animal Kingdom opened.
Yeah. Okay, so the first time was a fluke or good holiday planning. The second time was because I was making another radio series, and I was there at the right time, and got to interview. I mean, I have an amazing memory of interviewing Alan Menken in the park. I mean, Alan Menken, the composer who'd done Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast and so much more. And we would, as it was radio, we were desperate to find somewhere that was quiet. And of course, if you go to a Walt Disney theme park, it's never quiet, because no matter where you are, there's piped music. So trying to record an interview with him with, music going on in the background was a challenge. But Animal Kingdom, I think, is an exceptional place. And if you haven't been, the first thing you need to do is the Kilimanjaro Safari, and do it first thing in the morning when the animals are actually awake. And it's so impressive. It's changed a lot from opening day, because on opening day there was a storyline in it about elephants that were poached, and it was really bad, and an elephant died and people got very upset. So Disney quickly changed that storyline. Yeah. But there's so much potential there. Everest is wonderful. I'm not a huge fan of Pandora. I have ridden that ride, and okay, so what? I'm really not interested in that too much. I have very high hopes for the investment that hopefully will be announced and confirmed soon, where they're going to, do things with Encanto and Coco and what have you. I just hope they hold true to the original ideals of that park, and it was about animals. It's not about intellectual property. So please don't put the Avengers in there or something like that. Stranger things have happened. Hello, Epcot. But Animal Kingdom, love that place. Epcot, adore it. I think it's a thing that is so relevant to what Walt really wanted to do. And the Imagineers, and I met a lot of the Imagineers over the years, and I remember talking to Ray Bradbury, who wrote the original storyline for Spaceship Earth. And the ambitions that they had, I hope they just hold on to what it was really supposed to be, and it doesn't all end up being another ride to do with Frozen or another ride to do with Finding Nemo. How many Finding Nemo properties do you need at a place like that?
Well, it's Frozen that they're chucking in everything at the minute, isn't it? And Moana, actually, we've got Moana.
Moana, yeah.
Although the Journey of Water, when you go, it's a really nice. It's actually quite a nice addition to Epcot if you take it for what it is, because it only touches very slightly on Moana, but it's actually the Journey of Water if you've got little ones and they can learn about the world as it is. It's really good.
That's the joy of if you go on the land. I mean, that boat ride is fascinating. I mean, it's not for toddlers, but it's a really interesting story, and it explains things incredibly well.
Have you got a favourite attraction then?
Well, I've got... Okay, past, it would have been Horizons. Did you ever do Horizons?
See, I missed Horizons. Yeah, that was before my time. Okay,
so Horizons was at Epcot, and it was about space travel, sort of, but it was they used a similar ride device to Haunted Mansion, in that it was that conveyor belt sort of thing, and you got on a little car and it took you through it. It was vast and it took ages, and it was awe-inspiring, but apparently the building had problems and it had subsidence and they had to get rid of it. So it was replaced by Mission Space. Not a fan of Mission Space. My favourite attraction now, and I hope they don't change it as they have done in Disney's California Adventure Park, is Tower of Terror. I mean, it's 30 years old this year, I think.
Yeah.
And it's just incredible. I mean, it has nothing to do with Disney, which is great. So, it's not about Mickey Mouse. It's not about The Lion King. It's a completely different thing altogether. And it takes what was a simple fairground attraction, a lift that goes up and comes straight back down again. They turn it on its head, they add a story to it, and it's incredible, absolutely phenomenal. It's exciting, it's fun, it's scary. The theming of that hotel is just first rate, and it's the one. If I do go back, I have to do that one ride more than anything else. So that's at the top of my list. So I'd say that's my favourite.
When you go, are you one of these people? And I'm one of these people that when you're on an attraction, you're always kind of looking behind you. Go, how did they do this? How does this work?
Yeah, I mean, there are, thank God for YouTube, because there are videos that explain how some of the rides work. And it's fascinating, really, really interesting. But you don't have to know anything, and you can just enjoy it. But if you are of that mindset and you want to find out, I do recommend Googling those videos, because the Tower of Terror in particular, and the one in Orlando, because all the other parks are slightly different, it's so clever. And it was touch and go at the beginning as to whether they could actually pull it off.
Yeah, because you're not falling. People think, oh, you're falling down. You're actually being pulled up and down. And like with the Orlando one's the best one, because you actually move through the hall first and then you get put into a cage. It's fascinating.
Yes, that's the bit that's unbelievable, isn't it? When you think, oh, we're just going to go up and down, and no, hold on a minute, you're actually moving into the building. Yeah. Into the Tower of Terror. Fabulous.
Have you done the Keys to the Kingdom tour at Magic Kingdom?
I have. I mean, they do quite a lot of those things, and they're pricey, but they're well worth it if you're a fan. It's shocking when you go and see where all the costumes are, and you realise Mickey and Minnie heads are just lying on a table, and you're not allowed to take photos. And thank goodness you're not, because that's quite disturbing. But yes, I mean, the one that I did, I don't know if they still do it, but they took you to the sewage farm, which they have at Disney World. And they took you to the power plant and the waste centre. And you think it sounds really dull. It's amazing because, of course, don't forget, Walt Disney World is twice the size of Manhattan. Yeah. It's 47 square miles. It's the size of a huge city. And they've got everything. So the Keys to the Kingdom, if that's what it's still called, and you can afford to do it, highly recommend it. It's well worth it. Though on one of the things that we did, one of the tours we did, people started to, the guide, started to criticize members of Walt Disney's family. And I knew Walt Disney's family, and I had to say to them, I don't think you should be saying that to these paying guests. So I think he soon shut up after that and didn't say such slanderous things.
Was it Walt's daughter that you've interviewed?
I did a series with Diane Disney Miller, who was Walt's daughter, amazing lady who we lost a few years ago, but she and her family built a museum dedicated to Walt Disney, and that's in San Francisco. It's well worth a day out if you're ever on the West Coast of America. Diane loved Disneyland. She didn't know Walt Disney World, but she loved Disneyland, and she told us all the secrets. And, because Walt had an apartment above the firehouse on Main Street, and we were taken there and we could see where he stayed and slept overnight. So, Disneyland obviously is where Walt walked and lived and loved. He only saw the land of Walt Disney World. It was his brother who really made it happen, Roy O. But the family, I think the family were quite remarkable. And I mean, Roy really pushed through the plans and the ambitions for Walt Disney World and got the Magic Kingdom open. And he died a few short weeks after that. Yeah. So it was his life work. And the relationship between the two brothers, I think, is something that's incredibly interesting.
It is the American dream, isn't it? They're the story of Disney.
100%. Walt knew his limitations. He wasn't the best animator by a long stretch, but he knew how to bring the right people together. And that's what he did with the animation studio. And then he chose some of those great animators to help him create Walt Disney Enterprises, or WED, as it became Imagineering in later years. And those, and they were men, there were a few women, but those men, Mark Davis in particular, and John Hench, who I had the good fortune to meet and make programs with. I mean, they're the people who created Pirates of the Caribbean. John Hench did the original illustrations for Space Mountain. I mean, it's proper history. Actually, Mark's wife, Alice Davis, who, again, we've sadly lost quite recently. She cooked amazing steaks, by the way, Alice. Alice designed all the costumes for It's a Small World, and she drew me a picture of one of her costumes. I still have that. Mary Blair, of course, great animator whose colour work you can still see in It's a Small World. And if you go to the Contemporary, the mural on the inside of the Contemporary Hotel is a Mary Blair piece of art. This is something else, Andy, I really love to do. You don't have to go to the theme parks. You can go to the hotels and the resorts. They're great. And, take the monorail, do a tour of the monorail hotels, or go on a water ferry to Old Key West and enjoy the hotels, because some of them are an attraction in their own. They really are.
Always have a day resort hopping. Have you got a particular favourite resort, either to visit or even to stay at?
Yeah, to stay would be Old Key West, because it was the original Disney Vacation Club resort. It's beautiful. The rooms are huge, by the way. They're the biggest vacation club rooms in the whole of the property. So Old Key West, very happy memories of the original Port Orleans, when it used to have its sister hotel next door, which was Dixie Landings. And obviously they had to get rid of that name for obvious reasons.
Riverside.
But Port Orleans is really super. I think that's a lot of fun. Wilderness Lodge is a place I always go to and have dinner if we can. And the Contemporary, because it feels exciting. And, a monorail going through the middle of the hotel, and that hotel still moves when that monorail goes through. It's I can't afford to stay at the Contemporary, but I can just about afford to go for dinner at the top.
The California Grill.
California. Yeah, that's wonderful. And if you time it properly, you can sometimes see the fireworks if you're in the right get the right table, and they pipe the music into the restaurant, so it just feels exciting, and the view is incredible, and bearing in mind that a lot of Florida generally in that area is low-rise buildings, to be so high up in Orlando and you can see for miles. You can actually see the globe at Spaceship Earth at Epcot from California Grill. So hotels, huge plus. Property hotels, sorry.
Yeah. If you had to choose one restaurant, you're having one dinner at Disney World, which one would you go for? What would you say is your ultimate favourite? And what would you have there? What would you have?
Well, you see, I mean, the menus have changed. That's my excuse for being vague now. If money was no object, I would like to go back to Victoria and Albert's. Now, this is a restaurant with, I think, 12 or 20. I think it's 12 tables. The Grand
Floridian. Yeah, they've just this year got the Michelin star. I think
That's
it's
right.
the only Michelin-starred restaurant in a theme park, although it's not in a theme park, it's in the resort.
Well, it's a great meal, okay, but it should be, because it costs an arm and a leg, and I think it's the sort of thing that you might do once in your lifetime. But I'd like to go back, but I probably won't be able to. I would like to go back to Artist Point at Wilderness Lodge and have a good steak there. I say I'd like to, because the last time we went, it was so salty we had to send it back. Sorry, this isn't helping you. But it's a lovely restaurant, but they have a lot of salt on their steaks. I don't like that. But Olivia's at Old Key West, it's a very simple family fare. It's nothing grand, but you get a lovely burger and you just sit there and look out at the beautiful resort.
Yeah.
And I've got very happy memories of being there with my mum and dad. And, it's the restaurants on Disney property can be really expensive, but you don't have to spend a fortune to have a really enjoyable, memorable meal. The one thing I would say is, if you don't have children, avoid going to character dining experiences. I loathe them. I get really embarrassed when those characters come up to you and you have to try and engage with them, and all you really want to do is eat your meal. If you've got children, they're wonderful. But if you're on your own and you don't have kids, avoid them like the plague.
Now, I see, Malcolm, I love a character meal, and I don't have kids.
Oh, God, do you?
I can have a conversation with Daisy Duck about ballet dancing for hours. We can chat. She doesn't say a word, but we have this conversation. I think it's knowing how to talk to the characters. I'm not very good with face characters because I feel like they're all pre-scripted. They'll come over to your table and they'll know what they're going to say. But with Mickey and Donald and the Fab Five, I love it. Not the buffets.
Okay.
But if it's family style, they bring the food to you. Because sometimes if it's a buffet and you've got to kind of plan your trip to the buffet with the trip of the visit of the characters, it gets really hectic. But yeah, I love a character. We'll have to go.
Each to their own, I think is the answer.
I'll take you to Topolino's Terrace for breakfast.
Oh, you're just showing off now.
Totally. Well, I'm a DVC owner and I've got points there at Riviera, so we'll be fine.
Have you?
I have, yes.
That looks very impressive. See, I haven't seen that.
Beautiful, beautiful. 7 months out, you can use your points and stay there, definitely. Of the times you've been, what would you say is your happiest memory? You say you've been with parents. What would you?
Well, I mean, in terms of that is difficult when you're as old as I am. I would say the first time seeing Tapestry of Nations at Epcot, this was an amazing evening parade that they did for the Millennium, and it used to go around the whole of the World Showcase Lagoon, and I mean, you can see video of that on YouTube, but it was the music, and that's something we haven't really spoken about, Andy. Yeah. But for me, the music of Walt Disney World makes it. It's as simple as that. And on this particular parade, it was Gavin Greenaway who wrote the music, and then it was followed by Illumination's Reflections of Earth. Today you've got, I think it's called Luminous, but from what I've seen of that, it could not compare to what they did in 1999, 2000. So for me, that is a memory that I'll take to the grave, because to stand there and see these performers go around and that music and then the fireworks and the lasers, it was phenomenal. Much like seeing Fantasmic for the first time. You can't really believe that they churn these things out every single day, weather permitting.
Twice a day.
So sometimes, at Christmas we do it twice. So, but, I mean, whatever they do at Epcot at 9 o'clock at night, you have to go, I think, no matter what it's called, because it's the scale of it. But it's also that music. So for me, it has to be Tapestry of Nations, which I think then became Tapestry of Dreams, and then they got rid of it.
Yeah.
So it was short-lived. But it was incredible.
First time I went, Tapestry, I bought the CD because I loved the music. In fact, I think I've heard Paul play it on radio too.
Yeah, well, I wish they would stream that. That's not available on streaming. I really wish they would release this music. They haven't done so.
Yeah.
Don't know what the problem is there. But
my first trip. Yeah. Because that was for the Millennium, wasn't it? And I think they also used it. They did the Super Bowl halftime entertainment that year. And I think Tapestry of Nations and that music was the halftime entertainment on the Super Bowl as well that year.
Wow. I love that nerdy fact. Fabulous.
I get lost in YouTube loops, Malcolm, all the time. Suddenly it's 10 o'clock at night. I go, no, who needs a Netflix subscription?
Well, exactly.
With Malcolm in just a moment, a quick news update from the parks. It's only a few weeks now before Tiana's Bayou Adventure officially opens. We're in the middle of previews for it at the minute for DVC members and pass holders and cast members. And even Jennifer Lewis, the original voice of Mama Odie on Princess and the Frog, she went on Tiana's Bayou Adventure. And at the end, it's still like Splash Mountain when it used to finish. It used to take ages to get off. All the logs kind of like backed up and she got stuck on there. So she led guests in a sing-along for dig a little deeper. Actual Mama Odie on there. So, in a few weeks, it will be open. Do look out if you go in to Disney World soon for the new Princess and the Frog bus, which has just been launched. So that's going around the resort. You might get on one of those. Also, Communicore Hall has now opened at Epcot. Epcot is now finished. Yeah. Well, until they close Test Track down. Epcot is now up and running. Communicore Hall with a new place to meet and greet Mickey and Minnie. The Encanto show is on there. They seem to be doing about 6 shows a day of that. If you want to go go and see that. And we have got a date for the new Country Bear Jamboree, the Country Bear Musical Jamboree, which is going to feature a lot of original Disney songs from Toy Story and Zootopia. We have a date. It's going to be open from July the 17th. That is the date of the new show. We've had a little bit of a look at how the bears are looking now. They've had a slight makeover. We've also had a look at the new Little Mermaid musical adventure show. Yet it is coming back at Hollywood Studios. It's been closed for a long time. There's going to be new puppets and new animations there as well. That's kind of it, really, for the news from the parks. There's not been a lot of big news. We're expecting dates for Christmas parties and Christmas celebrations to come probably over the next few days, actually. It's usually around now, halfway to Christmas. So do follow us on the socials for that. At Pod Magical is where we are. Malcolm, I'm going to give you your perfect day at Disney World, okay? You can stay where you want, you can do what you want, you can eat what you want. Malcolm, it's on me. What would you do? Where would you go? Don't worry about Genie Plus and getting all that nonsense. Forget that.
Oh, please
It's all done for you. Walking on any attraction. Where are you going? What are you doing?
I tell you what, thank you very much. It's very generous of you. I would go straight to Epcot. I would go straight on Spaceship Earth. I would then get myself a coffee and a cinnamon roll from somewhere. That might be at the Magic Kingdom. I might go over there and get that then. If I'm at the Magic Kingdom and I've given myself enough time between eating it and digesting it, I would then go on Space Mountain. I would quickly pop into It's a Small World and say, here you go, Paul, this is for you. And then I would go over to, I still call it Disney MGM, isn't that terrible?
Old school.
What's it called this week?
Hollywood Studios this week,
Yeah, this week is the Hollywood Studios. I would completely miss all of the Star Wars stuff, not bothered about any of that, but I would go on a ride that I don't think is there anymore, unfortunately, called the Great Movie Ride. That would be perfect. And then I'd finish the evening with Fantasmic. I appreciate that the Great Movie Ride isn't there. I think it's now Mickey and Minnie.
Yep, the Runaway Railway
train or railway. Yeah. I mean, I loved Disney MGM when it was about making movies. So the original Backlot tour was terrific, and it had that amazing attraction called Catastrophe Canyon.
Oh yes,
that was wonderful. But the most exciting thing, on the tram, going round and seeing the Golden Girls' house. And do you know who their neighbour was?
Who was their neighbour?
Herbie, the car.
Oh, the car.
And it used to come down the drive, and it would sort of somehow stand up on its boot, as it were. All long gone. I'm not answering your question, but that would be my perfect day. If money was no objection, you could rebuild those attractions
and we
for
could
me.
Go back in time. It's perfect day, unless, of course, you're going on It's a Small World and you get stuck on there. And you could be there for hours.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
Oh, it would be brilliant. As a lovely tribute to Paul. Malcolm, it's been fascinating talking to you.
Well, I've loved it because I can just reminisce about times past. But I'm impressed you know so much about it now, so we need to catch up.
Yes.
And you can tell me about all the new things.
I'll tell you about the new things, and we'll go to Topolino's Terrace and we'll have brunch with Daisy Duck.
I'll hold you to that. Thank you, Andy. I will hold you to that.
Malcolm, have a magical day.
And the same to you. Thank you.
Always on the lookout for guests to come on the podcast. If you want to come on and chat about Disney, doesn't matter when you went. I'd love to chat to you about your experiences, your holidays. Let me know. On the socials, at Pod Magical is where we are. Maybe you're going to be going soon. A few things to look out for. The price of Genie Plus has been hovering around $27 is the most expensive day price. That's for Magic Kingdom and the All Parks Genie Plus. The other parks are a little bit cheaper. Rise of the Resistance, the most expensive individual attraction. That's been hovering around $22 if you want to do Rise. Pound to dollar at the moment, around 1.27. The weather has been horrendously warm over the last few weeks. Yes, it gets hot in summer in Orlando. Yes, it's summer now. It's hard to believe it in the UK, but it's definitely hot over in America at the minute. The average temperature is kind of into your 90s now, but it's been even hotter than that. And crowds are busy. A lot of American schools have now broken up, so expect the parks to be busy 7 days a week. It's not a quiet time to go, but they do go back to school mid-August, so we can take advantage of that at the end. If you are going, here is a top tip. You want to be refilling your drinks. Now, I'm not talking about the refillable resort mugs. You can only use them in the resorts, but there are a few quick service places in the parks where you can get refilled drinks. You can just help yourself to refill drinks. So in Epcot, Regal Eagle and Sunshine Seasons, once you bought your drink, you can go back and refill and refill and refill. Disney's Hollywood Studios, Backlock Express and Restaurantosaurus and Satuli Canteen in Animal Kingdom have got free refill stations for your free refills. That's obviously if you have bought a drink anyway. You can't just take your resort mug and refill it, although I have seen that, but I'm not encouraging that. Leaving that to you. We are back with a brand new episode, a new podcast, a new guest, more top tips in 2 weeks from now. If you're new to the podcast, make sure you subscribe. Go back and listen to some of the previous episodes. There's a lot to catch up on there. Do subscribe, and we'll be back again in 2 weeks from now. Till then, please stand clear of the doors.